Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and today we have a very special panel of 5 of India's leading startups in the deep tech space that are making, waves, and these are the future of India's innovation. Joining me today is Drishya AI Labs, Saumil Seth, who is the co-founder, and we have Professor Arnab Datta of Urja Novak, who is also the co-founder and CTO of the company. To my left, I have Sridhar Narayanan, who is the co-founder of Peptris Technologies, and I have Shivam Pillai, CTO and co-founder of Solnoy, and of course, I have Dhananjay Yadav, CEO and co-founder of Neosapien, with me. Gentlemen, it's great to have all of you with me here. First, I want to sort of get a quick wrap from each one of you on what exactly does your startup do and the differentiator as you see it in the deep tech space.
Sure. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for having us here and inviting us for this roundtable discussion. Happy to talk about Drishya. We started our journey about 5 years back, and our core purpose is sustainability. So the problem that we are trying to solve is actually help our customers achieve a low carbon footprint as well as their sustainability goals. And the reason for that is there is a lot of regulatory pressure to achieve net zero. And that's what we want all our customers to accelerate through a digital journey. So in a sense, what we are doing is we are taking a large amount of their data, and it's very complex data as well as a lot of their process knowledge, and we are converting it into a digitalization layer and then adding a lot of intelligence on top of it. And what that basically does is it allows them to run their computes and also do a lot of optimization as well as achieve a lot of efficiency by doing that. So if I have to kind of unpack, what I said is basically our journey is digitalization for decarbonization.
Sure. Arnab, you guys turn water into, make it carbon. Water actually captures carbon is what I understand. What does it exactly do, and, what is the big picture that comes out of this?
So thank you for this question. Thank you for having us here today. So what we are actually doing, we are following the footsteps of the biology. So biology handles carbon dioxide in water media, and they have these unique enzymes which actually ensure that carbon dioxide can be converted into useful chemicals. But biology actually works in the physiological conditions. So they did not survive in the harsh conditions of the industry. So what we did, we learned how the biology works, learn from them, and make our own synthetic catalyst imitate the same reaction, but in much more wider and harsh conditions. And then put this catalyst in water, allow the carbon dioxide coming with all the different pollutants at high temperature into this water, and gets converted into carbonate and bicarbonate minerals, which we are able to purify later, so that waste carbon dioxide becomes a very useful chemical as carbonate, which not only ensures we have a circular carbon economy, but also provides a way of revenue making for the industry, so that carbon capture and conversion becomes a useful phenomena for the industry.
Got it. Sridhar, you guys work in the space where, you're using AI for drug discovery. Can you just give us a sense of where, especially in the pharma industry, AI currently stands, and where does Peptris sort of fit into the entire, block?
So first of all, thanks for having us here. Peptris is an AI-powered drug discovery company. So we do our innovation in the space of rare diseases, oncology, and inflammation. We essentially identify novel chemical entities which could then become drugs in the long run. The drug discovery journey itself, all the way from the target identification to getting to the market, is anywhere between a 10 to 12 year process. And the initial phase of discovery, which is called the preclinical phase of drug discovery, before it enters the humans, is generally about 4 to 5 years long. What we've done is we've used our AI, proprietary AI platform to shrink that time from 4 to 5 years to about 18 to 24 months. So what this does is creates efficiencies The AI also allows us to identify novel chemical matter, which is not easily done with the traditional methods of drug discovery, and helps increase the patent life because the discovery happens in a much shorter time. So overall, what we're doing is we are reducing the cost of drug discovery. We are reducing the time for drug discovery, and we are also trying to bring in much more diversified drugs onto the market. So the impact that we would have, especially for diseases like which are rare diseases, is that we are going to be able to identify molecules which hitherto were never seen as possible drugs for such indications.
Sure. Shivam, Zolnoy works in industry efficiency space. Could you tell us, in terms of using your application, your platform, what has been the real outcome of this, and in what industries are you seeing your application currently?
Right, sure. Thanks for having us here. See, the problem is that $500 billion of energy is wasted in the manufacturing space. These are like bottom line disadvantages as well as emissions that could be avoided. So that's exactly what we are trying to solve in the industry. But the challenge is that it's not simple, it's complex. There are data coming from multiple sources, they are in silos, and it is very difficult to extract patterns from this data. So that is where our AI model comes into play. So it is able to extract patterns from different data points. So what we are able to tell, for example, is that you're burning more coal than is needed. Your heater is inefficient, or you're pumping more water than the demand is asking you to, or your motor are today running at a inefficient operating condition, so it's pulling more current. Right? So these are the kind of patterns we are able to tell, and not on time, but in advance. So the factory is able to make changes or improve their machinery well in time to save energy. So our big vision is essentially to remove 100 million tons of CO2 from the atmosphere. So that is a journey that we are set out to do.
Sure.
Thank you.
Dhananjay, Neosapien is looking to sort of, probably, if I look at it, it's a personalized AI agent at the end of the day with the task that it's going to be doing. Can you talk to us about, the interest that your device has seen, and it pretty much looks like a small flash drive?
Yeah, so first of all, super excited to speak with you. So interest has been very high because we launched 3 months back, and we have almost sold around nearing 1,000 units. Okay, and we are going strong on that. But our biggest vision is that we realize that conversational intelligence, which is majority of our conversations are impromptu conversations, right? While going on works, while speaking today, while everywhere, these used to get lost. Here, Neo can understand your complete deep context and your relationship like a second brain. So today, if I'm speaking with you, it will understand my relationship with you on the basis of facts and entities. Similarly with Shivam, similarly everyone around it. So now not only does it understand what did I speak with you, but it can also understand what were my conversations. So I can ask it things like, what did I speak with you last time? Okay, or who all did I meet at Nasscom? Our bigger vision is to fire up the most personalized AI experiences across India. So what it is going to do is, tomorrow we are going to be in your smart glasses, your smart watches, and it will understand context of every user in India. And then it will be able to fire up all your personalized experiences. So tomorrow, if your mom comes and tell you, "Beta, Swiggy se order kar do," it will understand what specific brand she likes, what she wants to order, and order it on your behalf.
Dhananjay, that sounds exciting to some and probably scary to some as well. We'll come back to that. But probably I want thoughts of Somil, Arnab, and also Shivam on the entire industrial journey and India's pivot to, wanting to be a manufacturing hub as well. At the current, industrialization level that India is operating in, how much of inefficiencies have you seen in your respective industries where each of your startup is able to sort of bring efficiencies to the core? And how important is it, given that a large number of, India has a large number of MSMEs also, right? Would that also be a set of industries that you'd be looking at? Probably we'll have your thoughts first, Samir.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at India in general, and the kind of mission that we are on, if you look at India AI mission, India semiconductor mission, all these, including the hardware space and the manufacturing sector. So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for us to uncover And essentially, in our field, what we are doing is we are doing exactly that. We want to build the facility of the future, right? So we want to tap into the entire ecosystem and, work with partners in India closely to, advance their sustainability goals.
Got it. Arnab?
Yeah, so I would like to say in this way, like when we actually look into the industries, we found we have different multiple silos of industries, and typically they actually connected only on the surfaces. They are not really going forward through intricate interaction. For an example, a company makes a particular product and they want a particular support system for another industry. They just say, I want this from you. They're not really looking how they can work together and optimize the overall process and make sure that it can become more energy efficient and it can be much better for this. And right now I found that the industries are understanding this, and right now these borders are actually breaking down and they are actually working more close together. And you cannot say like they're actually working in silos, but they're working in a much more integrated space. And that is what is that new India is actually coming up. So it cannot say like they're actually specialized in this particular sector, but their specialty can be used in multiple different sectors. And this integration is bringing the new India, a new manufacturing hub all over the world. And as I was discussing with Somil earlier, if anything can work best in India, that works everywhere in the world.
But do you see application of what you're building perhaps in data centers, given that, there's so much of, the boom that we're seeing is largely, and they're water guzzlers at the end of the day, cooling facilities.
Absolutely. So previously what we found that we actually have a lot of data with us, but are we sharing the data or even deep diving into the data? We are not. But right now this AI field is actually moving up very quickly. And all of a sudden we found we actually have a huge amount of data that we can work into and find out how we can make these things work better. And for an example, right now, if people from like their group, like Dhananjay, they can look into the data. We are probably not even thinking that is actually useful. But right now they found, it is actually useful and we can actually build up a much better system that I'm running for the last 30 years. And this is actually bringing the best out of all the world.
Okay. So with, Solna clients, how do you see the adoption and which are the industries that, as you see, sort of at the forefront of adopting, machine-led decision-making that is required on efficiencies?
Yeah, I think like we say last mile delivery challenge, right? So in our area, the last mile delivery challenge is the adoption. Because even if you have great solutions, for them to be able to adopt and take action is when they will see the real benefit. What I also see is a challenge in terms of skills. Because in the end, when you have a machine, an operator is taking that final call of if my AI tells me to change this parameter, do I want to change it or not? Right. So, and that depends on how confident they are with the AI systems and how comfortable they are to make those actions or understand the data that is being given to them. So that is the challenge we are seeing in terms of adoption. So, but at the same time, so I have been in a few events in the last couple of years. Every time I speak to industrial personnel, what I've seen is a continuous growth in adoption from like 2 years back in a group of 10 people, 2 would say we are doing something on predictive AI. Today it's like 5, 6 people are talking about it. So that is very good. But at the same time, unless you action your AI's recommendations, it's still, you're not able to get the full benefit out of it.
Got it. Sridhar, large pharmas have generally been at the forefront of R&D and, the entire drug, the new drug discovery and everything related to it. To be able to sort of break the mold and a startup probably assisting these big pharmas in their own journey, how has, the pharma industry itself changed and startups plugging into the requirement of big pharmas with big budgets? How is the industry sort of working today?
So if you look at the pharma industry in general, today almost 50% of the pipeline of any big pharma comes from startups. So their ability to absorb what is being generated in the startups is very large, right? And they are very open to these kinds of licensing deals, which bring in assets from the startups to the big pharma. If you look at the ecosystem in general for the startups, a lot of the startups come out of academia or are 3 or 4 entrepreneurs coming together with a particular idea. Generally, they work towards a single problem, either in one therapeutic area like oncology or inflammation or such. What we've done at Peptris is essentially use technology to increase our portfolio. We work on multiple targets at the same time, and we also build a pipeline of molecules which are of interest to medium pharma and also big pharma. So from our perspective, the ability of pharma to take what we have is very large. And in fact, we've already licensed one of our molecules, which we have discovered at Peptris, or a new use for which we've discovered at Peptris using our AI platform. And that has already been licensed to another partner who's taking it forward for further to the clinical development.
Sridhar, in terms of efficiency and efficacy of, what comes out of this AI, is there any anomaly, or is it something that can be, are farmers actually willing to trust the kind of data and research or the outcomes that are AI based?
So AI as a technology has been used in drug discovery, I would say, the last 8 to 10 years, right? And the adoption by pharma is really very good. I would say almost every single large pharma has an AI unit within their own organization, but they also work with multiple other smaller AI-based organizations to fill their pipeline. So I would say overall, the adoption of AI has been very good. How successful it has been, I think we've had multiple discoveries which have used the AI platforms move into clinical development. But we still don't have a single molecule which has become a drug today, which has been discovered using AI. However, I think that will change within the next couple of years. There are at least, to the best of my knowledge, more than 10 plus molecules which have been discovered and developed using AI, which are in different stages of clinical development. And I would say within the next couple of years, we should see approvals come in for AI discovered drugs.
That sounds very,
It is
inspiring. And
very, very inspiring.
Sure. Dhananjay, do you think that you will be able to tap into a large market given that laws around the use of AI or where privacy laws are still not strong? How have you been able to sort of convince people to be able to be heard every single day, like 24/7? And have people told you that I don't want this because I don't want it to listen to everything that I say?
This is my favorite question. So quickly into it, right? We don't store any, which I was telling you, any recording, we are transcribing. So transcribing is equivalent to you taking a note over there, right? But what we also do is every data of yours is encrypted and we are getting SOC 2 certified, so no one within the company or outside can ever access your data. You only have the key. This is the more technical way of saying, and this is what we are doing. What we believe adoption is going to significantly increase. How? The first time when we saw this to increase was during the launch of cell phones. When industry came together, you had Apple, you have Samsung, you have Google of the world, which set that benchmark, right? Similarly, the amount of investment which is going on AI wearables, because 2 years down the line, cell phones will become redundant and AI wearables are going to be the thing. Hence, you will see Google's highest investment on consumer, on glasses. Meta's highest investment on consumer, on glasses. ChatGPT coming on wearable, right? Because now what will happen is all this industry will come together and set the complete benchmark, which happened with cell phones also. Cell phones actually, essentially, why this will also take on is because cell phones used to actually listen to you all the time and used to sell your data real time on ads. Whereas this is AI wearables will for the first time have your data, but it will give you the power to actually where do you want to send.
Dhananjay, I have, a point to make here where, you had Oculus that was existing for a longest of time, right? But the entry barrier of a wearable device today in India for mass adoption is extremely high. So unless the cost of the device comes out, probably what you're talking about, a cell phone, is unlikely to happen in India, given that the affordability factor is going to be a major player. So how do you address that? And if you think that the cost of wearables is going to come down, at what time frame are people like you who are banking on something like that to sort of kick off your product, right? Is there any time frame where you think that, okay, a wearable device will be available for the cost of a low-cost smartphone, under 10 or closer to 10,000? Are you working with those assumptions?
It's already at 10,000. So we are nearer to 12,000, but it's already at 10,000. And I believe the cost which you are talking about will also depend on kind of wearables you are going to have. So for example, a Ray-Ban Meta in India sells at around, I don't know, around 34, 36,000, which they're launching at. They have opened to a amazing response in India, right? Last year itself, while they did not launch in India, they launched around 10 million units globally, right? Here also we are going to see there are going to be different price points, right? There is different price point for smartwatches also. There is going to be different price point for wearables, because you need to understand AI wearables, the intelligence will lie on the back end, which is your app. So basically all the intelligence is going to be that app, that middleware which I was telling. Hence that middleware can be anywhere. Smart glasses, your basically watches, right? And this middleware, if you see, will continue to come down as your speech to text, LLM costs, all the GPU costs are coming down. In fact, we believe in 2 years down the line, everything can be processed locally.
Got it. Got it. Somil, do you think startups who are providing these, services or wanting to sell their products to an industry, do you think the training bit of it has to come from who has founded it, probably for that to be used like perfectly and get the right results that you promise probably your clients?
Yeah, good question. I think, from what our experience shows, it really has to be a top-down approach. Leadership has to take a stance in terms of adoption of AI and deep tech, which is, the businesses that we are all in. So the early adoption comes, when leadership plays a pivotal role in deciding, in our case, the next 5 years, 10-year strategy. And of course, everybody has to tag along with that. Interestingly, prior to ChatGPT, a lot of people used to reject us, saying, what is AI? What does it bring to the table? We don't want it, etc., etc. But I think ChatGPT was really a serendipitous moment for us, because what was push actually turned into pull. And our customers started calling us, tell us more about what you're saying. So I think adoption has to happen, but, I would say it starts at the leadership.
Arnab, you guys operate in, the clean space and green tech, but we're seeing large countries sort of pull out of the COP targets and, what was going to be a big impetus when it comes to adoption of green technologies. With large economy, it seems like, you've seen the US pull back. How do you think, the future, and will there be only a certain set of countries where probably technology like yours would be adopted and in a large scale?
Yeah, so I would say like the Indian economic system, specifically for the green tech, is a bit different. Because as you very nicely said, that the first world countries, they're actually doing this because they actually have reached the maximum of their carbon footprint. They're actually maximum of their technological development, whereas India is actually still growing. And we at this moment cannot really compromise our growth rate just for cutting out carbon dioxide footprint. So what India actually offers a very unique thing. In India, industry works looking at carbon dioxide not as a problem, but is an opportunity. Can we create a circular economy? Can we create something out of this waste carbon dioxide that can be useful for us? In the West, they're actually mostly capturing carbon dioxide, and the final product is still purified carbon dioxide, where they have to store it or use it as carbon dioxide itself. Whereas in India, our industry is looking, what can we do out of this captured carbon dioxide? Can we make some chemical that can be useful? And that's why in India, mostly the things works. What we actually term as Jugadu thing, but it is actually a very useful, sustainable thing. And that actually is going to drive India in a different perspective than the other first world countries are. And that is actually, I would say, a unique opportunity lies ahead of us in the deep tech, which will be making India one of the leaders, not only the leaders, but also trailblazers towards the world, that how a carbon dioxide, which is actually a problem, can be converted into an opportunity.
Sure. Sridhar, with, the largest population under the sun, and we're seeing rates of probably cancer at levels that we haven't seen in India. We are hearing every third, and the cause of this, doctors were able to pinpoint maybe 10 years ago on what could have caused it. And today, lifestyle, nothing matters. And you don't know why cancer, the prevalence of cancer in such huge numbers, right? Is there anything with respect to this happening in India, and where do you see perhaps players like you and also AI in the pharma space, in the healthcare space, probably making a difference, given that there has been alarm that has been raised over, the rising cases of cancer in India?
I think there are two aspects to the rising cases. One is a true increase, and the second is because we are able to better diagnose the disease today, right? So that's why you're seeing a significant number of cases coming up. AI as a technology is already being used significantly in the diagnosis part, right? So you've got companies like Nirama AI, which are using AI to kind of identify breast cancer at a much earlier stage, and making it a point of care solution, which is basically going to even the remote villages and being able to identify cases early on. From our perspective, we are using AI, and this is the vision that we are building into the organization, is using AI to actually cater to a personalized medicine. So if one were to identify what is a mutation in the cancer, mutation which is actually causing the cancer, we could then go back and look at that mutation and design a molecule which would treat that patient. And it need not be a novel molecule. We could use existing drugs and see which of those could potentially help the patient. Need not be just a single drug. It could be a cocktail of drugs which could then be used, right? But the treatment using AI would become much more personalized. And that is what we are aiming for using our technology.
Sure. Probably I'll take closing comments from each one of you. And Dhananjay, I'll come with you first. In the next 2 years, where do you see your company?
I have a coming to the ChatGPT answer, right? Only 5% of the users actually know how to use ChatGPT. These are the individuals who know how to do prompting or scenario on ChatGPT. Neo will provide a personalized AI where it will be so intuitive that for people, they don't need to put prompting. They don't need to put a scenario. It will just be based on your ground truth. And that is what we have essentially started seeing even with the early user. They used to find it magical कि ये chat GPT में answer नहीं आता लेकिन आपके पास आ जाता. These are the kind of responses we would get. So in 5 years down the line, I want to fire the complete personalized AI experiences across India, which should be like earlier it was Google. Then Neo should be the best place for people to figure out what they want to search, what they want to have.
Shivam, where do you see Solnoy operate in the next 2 years?
I might probably go a bit further as well, but like I said right in the introduction as well, both me and my co-founder Varun, so we are very deeply interested in the whole energy and carbon footprint as a challenge, and that's something we want to solve. So we are looking at reducing 100 million tons of CO2. That's quite a large amount of CO2 to take out of the environment, but it is not impossible, and it's even possible just in the manufacturing segment with some specific niche areas of optimization. So that's exactly what we are trying to solve. So we are evolving our AI models. We are, I think many people mentioned here about personalization. So we are personalizing our AI to machines, right? So we are building AI that is specific to machines, and not just machines, but in the context where they're operated at. Because if you have a heater, the way it's operated differs from industry to industry. So a chemical industry operates differently, semiconductor industry operates differently. So we want to make sure that our AI can learn these different patterns. And also for the adoption challenge, what we have been working hard on is to make our AI more explainable. So instead of just telling this is a problem, it tells why it has detected this problem. So the user is able to accept the recommendation and take action. So that's where we are. I mean, we want to be the default AI partner for the industry. That's why.
Sure. Sridhar, any breakthroughs in the next 2 years?
I would say we would look at 2 years is a short time, but definitely within the next 5 years, we would like Pepris to be the AI company from India which has discovered a drug and made a difference to at least one patient's life.
Lovely. Arnab, how do you see, water as a resource being turned into the most recycled, perhaps water being used for entire recycling in a very different way? How do you see, the impact happening in the next 2 odd years, and how will India's rivers be and water bodies be?
So I would say in this way, what we are actually developing, it will provide us this uniqueness around us, that what we need, it is just around us. We have to just connect the dots properly. And not only that, we'd also like to establish India-made system in indigenous technologies in Indian sectors and showcase the way that we don't always need to look to the West for the solutions. And I'm very glad to hear all my colleagues over here that we are actually becoming more from the service providers to the technology innovators. And this change in the attitude is the most important thing we are looking for. And with our innovation, we are showcasing one of the examples that everyone from any part of this country, from the remotest areas, if they have an idea, if they can connect it properly, that can show the world a new direction.
Sure. Shamil, you guys operate here and also in Calgary. So where do you see the next leg of innovation happening out of India?
I mean, I think, the way we are positioning ourselves, of course, we are in many markets, including Canada, Houston, Middle East, and so on. So I think a lot of people talked about privacy and, personalization, and that's what we are out to create, a very customized and curated experience when it comes to managing your plant. So in that sense, we want to position ourselves as an industrial GPT, but it's your industrial GPT. And what that essentially means is you're talking to your machines and you're doing everything AI first.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It was great talking to all of you and all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you.